Hello everyone, it's Alexis, your favourite, your favourite sort of consistent but not always consistent, who keeps saying that I'm going to make a schedule, who keeps saying that I'm going to do one kind of video one day, one kind of video another, and so on and so forth, but never does, YouTuber, and I'm here with a new video today. I hope you're all doing good, I hope the weather's nice where you are, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Now you all remember 2014. You remember 2014? It was not that long ago, although, let's see, it was 8 years ago. 7, 8 years ago, I can't do maths, sorry. 7 or 8 years ago, wow. And you'll remember a very nice song in the charts. I discovered this song around 2014. It may have been released before then. I'd need to look it up. I don't know. All of Me by John Legend. You know that song that goes, all of me loves all of you. I absolutely love that song. I first heard that song on Strictly Come Dancing in 2014. I can't remember who danced to it, but I was just like, wow, what a beautiful song. And I looked it up and I loved the video. I loved how it was kind of like a tribute to John Legend's wife, and it was so sweet. But now I can never really see the song in the same way again, because I found out, well, I knew who it was about, but I found out a little more about the person that it's about. It was about who was then John Legend's newlywed wife, Chrissie Teigan. Now, Chrissie Teigan is an American celebrity. She is a model, she's a TV personality, and she's sort of like perceived in the media and perceived like in popular culture as being John Legend's wife and being very sort of like beautiful and funny and such a silly sense of humour, and I'm pretty sure she's even sort of like seen as feminist, like that's kind of ironic, which we're going to get onto later, and she's seen as kind of like quite a popular celebrity, sort of akin to the Kardashians, and yeah, sort of like that, and she's very popular, but recently some not too good things have come out about Chrissie Teigan, especially sort of like about a lot of her tweets. We're going to get onto the slightly more dodgy tweets she's done in another video. It's going to be an episode of my fucking weird series, but we're just really going to talk about Chrissie Teigan as a person in this video in general. For starters, we've got to talk about somebody called Courtney Stodden. Courtney Stodden is non-binary and, like me, uses they-them pronouns, but they didn't at the time when they first originally became famous. They started to get famous because they married a guy in his 50s. He was in his 50s, called Doug Hutchison, who played the abusive prison guard in The Green Mile. He's an actor, director, whatever. And so he was in his 50s, and Courtney Stodden was only 16. And apparently they met online, and they apparently literally the day they met in person, Doug Hutchison proposed to them, which is just really weird and kind of rushed. And also, the worst thing was the way the media ridiculed Courtney, because instead of sort of like calling out this man for being a fucking predator and being really creepy towards this young person, not girl, this young person who he married, who was 16 years old, literally a child, like, they would always like call Courtney a slut and stuff like that, slut shame them, body shame them, make sort of like not very nice comments about what they're wearing and stuff. They'd make really sort of like misogynistic comments about them, like Anderson Cooper of The Ridiculist was on TV saying, oh yeah, she's got a, obviously they, I'll say they, because like, but obviously he used she pronouns when talking about them. They're like, oh, they've got a Twitter, they've got a Facebook, they've got a YouTube account, sorry, can't get my social media names correctly, and he was like, yes, they've got a YouTube channel, they probably just post about doing homework and getting their driving license and Justin Bieber, and just like, yeah. And one article who interviewed Courtney Stodden said that referred to them as a 17-year-old sex kitten, and said that they seemed a lot more like they were posing for Playboy rather than being interviewed by an entertainment magazine. Another article described them as having a face or a mouth or something in an interview that looked like a cat in their first heat, which is just like, if you look at all this kind of like sexualizing and like kitten cat like thing, they're not just sexualizing them, but they're dehumanizing them, talking about them like they're an animal. And also a lot of celebrities spoke really disrespectfully about Courtney, such as Courtney Love referred to them as a whore, and what was the other name of the person? Joy Behar referred to them as a slut, and even Doug Hutchinson in a video clip that I've actually seen referred to them as his little plastic Barbie doll, which is just, ugh, just, that guy is so gross. Probably wondering why I'm going off on a tangent like this when I was talking about Chrissie Teigan, but I'm going to get onto that. We're going to talk about how Chrissie Teigan factors into this because quite recently it was revealed that Chrissie Teigan had actually been bullying Courtney for a while. Chrissie Teigan, who was like 25, 26 at the time, and Courtney was like 16, 17, and like Chrissie had been dating John Legend. She got quite a bit of a following for herself and stuff and things like that. There was like a huge power imbalance, and she was bullying this literal child, and so one of the tweets she said was something about Courtney Stodden's Facebook page being taken down, and saying that the Facebook page was taken down for being too sexy was like referring to the Nazis as just meanies, which is, yes, sort of like, that's just really kind of like obvious slut shaming and stuff. She also made really disrespectful comments about Courtney Stodden's like facial mannerisms and voice, asking them why they talk like a Fabio book, and also they wanted to know what drug you use makes you do those things with your face, because apparently they were pulling some kind of facial expressions or something in an interview, and asking for a friend who wants to look like an idiot, which is like, I don't need to explain why that's really horrible and hurtful and nasty. But the worst thing is, not only were they saying like just these really horrible kind of like petty things about Courtney, but she would also literally sort of like tell Courtney to kill themselves, or said they fantasized about them dead. One kind of like quite famous tweet was saying something like, "My Friday fantasy, you dirt nap, baby," and just, ugh, that's horrible. And they also said things like, as a response to things they said like, she said like, Chrissie said to Courtney, "Go to sleep forever," as some kind of reply tweet to something, and also just randomly said, "You have rabies," and stuff like that. And Courtney has recently come out talking about this stuff and how it affected them. They've also been sort of like talking about how, because like they're out of this marriage now, they were talking about how actually they were groomed and they never really sort of like consented to this, because obviously a 16-year-old can't consent to anything like that. And they also talked about the tweets from Chrissie, and apparently not only did Chrissie tweet them or like retweet them and stuff, but she used to send Courtney really nasty DMs telling them to kill themselves and stuff. And yeah, and now and Courtney referred to Chrissie as Hypocrisy Teigan, because I've seen quite a few interviews of Chrissie was talking about, oh yes, I don't believe in being nasty and stuff, and like speaking out about bullying, because yeah, that is actually like, they are kind of Hypocrisy Teigan in that respect. And Courtney Stodden is not the only celebrity or like public figure who Chrissie Teigan has been mean to. She also said some rather nasty stuff about Lindsay Lohan. We all remember Lindsay Lohan from Freaky Friday, The Parent Trap, and most notably Mean Girls. My favourite movie that she was in was Just My Luck. I was pissing myself laughing when I first saw that film. It's just such like a feel-good film and stuff. And she said she made a Twitter post about about Lindsay Lohan, saying every time Lindsay Lohan sees Emma Stone, she adds more slits to her wrists or something like that, and like, again, kind of like joking about self-harm, suicide in that way. That's really horrible. He also seemed kind of weirdly obsessed with Quvenzhané Wallis, that the young girl who played Annie in the 2014 version of the musical Annie. She, when Quvenzhané Wallis was at the Oscars looking really sweet and adorable and lovely, Chrissie Teigan just started tweeting about her, saying things like, "Is it okay to call a child cocky, a small child cocky?" And said that she was forced to like Quvenzhané Wallis, obviously probably by like the media and popular culture and society and stuff, because she was a kid. And people questioned whether she had an issue with a black girl at the Oscars, because obviously Quvenzhané Wallis is black. And she said, and Chrissie said, she's not racist but just hates kids. And like Chrissie's also kind of like pushed as this kind of mother figure after giving birth to John Legend's kids, and like, yeah, she's saying she hates kids meanwhile. And she referred to people criticising her as pieces of bored, smelly shit. Yeah, honestly. And she also said some rather mean things about Avril Lavigne. She said that if she was going to have a kid that would be like Avril Lavigne, she would choose a barren, sterile existence that ends when I die, so that she wouldn't. So sort of like she was saying no way would she want to have a kid like Avril Lavigne. She was just being really sort of like mean and petty there. No, I don't really know what she has against Avril Lavigne. Then there is her other kind of more disturbing tweets about kids. In around 2011, there was this really weird TV show called Toddlers and Tiaras. I'm going to do a video about that one day. It just looks really weird. It's going to be part of my fucking weird series. And she said that and it's about child beauty pageants, and she said that when there was a little boy on there, because obviously it's mostly little girls, she said, "Finally some eye candy for me," as like some kind of sick joke. And she also talked about little girls doing the splits in that video, saying, "I want to put myself in jail," kind of joking about like being attracted to children and stuff. She also referred to Teen Mum star Farrah Abraham as a whore, and also shamed a comedian called Jay Moore, the fact that he named his son Meredith as kind of like saying that Meredith is like a girly name, and there was this whole Twitter war about it. And she's also kind of said stuff about some kind of public figure or model or something named Tamara Mowry for being sponsored by a Clear Blue pregnancy test. So yeah, that's just like kind of all Chrissie Teigan's dirty laundry. Basically, I feel like this is just like my sort of philosophies on this. I feel like sort of like this is just like a perfect example of like a celebrity who has done really messed up stuff and is trying to hide it and stuff, like time and time again. We've seen this with Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, Mikey from Glam and Gore, who I've done a previous video on, and so many others who have just like been hiding problematic stuff, and like they're acting all unproblematic, acting all woke, and they're often really beautiful, really kind of like funny and stuff, and like have this image that everybody loves, but then they're like not a great person behind it. And yes, I'm really proud of Courtney Stodden for coming forward about this and for talking about this, and I'm glad Chrissie is being held accountable. But I've seen a lot of YouTubers talking about how to like, also Chrissie tries to paint herself as this feminist. I've got the impression like she's been trying to sort of like advocate for women and stuff, and yet she's doing this so much to like other women and being really kind of anti-feminist, like going off, like referring to whore and slut, and talking about going after the little young person who is being groomed by Doug Hutchinson rather than the creepy old guy who is grooming the young person, and that's just really gross in my opinion. And yes, and talking about like picking on a little girl for going to the Oscars, like when Quvenzhané Wallis looked great. And also this is kind of like a bigger sort of like pattern in sort of like the way we treat women in society. Obviously like women or people perceived to be women, so non-binary people like myself and like Courtney Stodden. Yeah, because it wasn't just Chrissie who was doing it, who was saying all that stuff about Courtney Stodden. It was the media as well, and it was really gross. And like Courtney was even on a TV show when they were literally like 16 to see if they had breast implants, and they had their breasts kind of like had an ultra scan like by Dr. Drew, and it's just to see if they were real or not. And yeah, that's pretty messed up. And yeah, people sort of like, this isn't just Chrissie Teigan, like lots of people sort of like there is a really, it sort of like exemplifies that kind of pattern in society of being mean to women and people perceived as women who are victims and who are in sort of like really difficult situations. Like I know I have like said things that are not great about other women in difficult situations in the past, and I'm sorry for that. And I've also had other people victim blaming me for bad situations I've been in, and sort of like referring to me as those things Chrissie said, like when I was underage and stuff, and things like that. And in conclusion now, Chrissie is now playing the victim. She has now left Twitter, and she talked about, she made a big statement on Twitter about how a lot of people sort of like saw it as quite passive aggressive and quite sarcastic. It started with, not all people are lucky enough to be held accountable for all their past shit in front of the entire world, and people saw that as quite sarcastic and quite sort of like peevish and passive aggressive, and I can understand where that's coming from. And also she also talked about how she deleted 6,000 tweets, and she just now wants to protect her family, and she can't stand you idiots anymore, people criticising her. So again, she's like going after the people who are criticising her. And she also she's also had lots of brands drop their deals with her, like Target has pulled her cookware that they were selling, and also Bloomingdale's and Macy's have dropped deals with her and stuff. And she's she's getting some sort of like retribution, but I still feel like this isn't over. Like, to change this, we really need sort of like to stop seeing victims like this, to stop seeing women and people perceived as women like this, and sort of like for women to start being sort of more feminist, and to stop seeing other women as threats and stop hating other women and stuff. And I know I've played into that before, and I'm not going to anymore. And in general, we need to stop bullying people and stuff like that. So this is really just a video about Chrissie Teigan being an awful person, and the sort of like wider picture of that. And I'm going to leave some sources in the description about what's been going on, and I'm going to leave my PayPal link, so if anyone wants to send me a tip, you can. And I'm also going to leave my buy me a coffee and my music. And I'm probably going to be doing a lot of videos this week. I'm not going to promise anything because you know what I'm like, but yes, I hope I'm able to. I will see you next time I see you. Bye!